Welcome to day 8 of our 30-day yoga challenge. Today, let's find balance through poses like tree pose and standing sequence to strengthen the legs. This session enhances foot and knee health as we cultivate balance in body and mind. Let's begin our journey towards equilibrium together.
Alright, so we are going to get started by being right in the center of the mat, and you're going to plant your feet parallel to each other. Look at your big toes and imagine under your big toes you have something stuck, let's say a sheet of paper, and you don't want that sheet of paper to be pulled away from you. So what would you do? You would press your big toes down into the mat and lift rest of the toes up and away from the mat. And then the next thing you want to do is to spread your toes open and press the toes down into the mat. So it's like a movement when you spread your fingers open and wide. So the same kind of coordination is what you're expecting out of your fingers and your toes. So you stretch and spread the toes open. And one interesting thing, when we were doing this movement with the toes, you might also feel that your hands were kind of trying to teach you how to spread the toes open and wide, because this is one movement that we do not get to do very often. So we are a little bit lacking with our muscle memory in terms of the movement of the toes. So spread your toes open and wide and stretch, and you should feel the stretch coming under the toes, and you want to go back and forth. So go back and forth and start lifting your heels up off the mat. Settle and go up again, and then settle. Up and down, up and down, up and down. So you just want to go up, maintain the pose, hold the position, focus on the breath. Breathe out, settle down and relax. Now the next thing you want to do is to pull your toes upwards. So when you pull your toes up, you would notice that it's tricky to balance on your heels. So you want to imagine stand on your heels. And the condition here is that you want to keep your legs completely straight. Forget that your knees can bend. You want to keep your legs. Imagine you're a stick man and you want your legs to be completely straight and tall. Now just lift up, and the movement is coming from your hip girdle. So you lift your legs up and down. And by doing so, you would notice what are the muscles that are getting engaged into it. So the muscles next to the shin bone are getting engaged, the quads will be getting engaged, and you notice that it takes a significant amount of strength to keep tapping. But that's what we want to do here right now. So you're going to turn and you're going to go back and forth on the mat. And remember to keep your legs completely straight. So start with smaller steps. Lift the leg up. It's a great exercise for the health of the feet. It's a great exercise for the brain because it encourages the body to maintain the balance in a completely unique way. Lift up, and you soon begin to notice where exactly it is working. If at any point you catch yourself bending your knees, just let yourself get the legs totally straight. So tap faster. We're not ending yet. Faster, faster, faster. Circumnavigate your mat. You may also want to come out of the mat. Walk, 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 and you feel the muscles burning. This is the exercise that provides the strength to the muscles, shin bones, and these are the muscles you normally don't get to work out and work towards. Back to the mat, stretch, press your toes down onto the floor again, and pull your toes up. And go sideways this time. You may find that your hands want to clench. It's normal. It's just like one part of the body telling the other part of the body what to do. And then when you breathe out, you get back to the center, relax. You will feel a lot of sensation of muscle activation. It's like, when you work out, when you lift weights, it's exactly the same thing, because this is where the muscles next to the shin bone, they begin to generate all that lactic acid, which is why you feel the burning sensation in your shin. The next thing you want to do is to bend your right leg and grab the ankle with your right hand at the back. So this also helps you to stretch the muscle you just used to provide strength. Now hold this, continue breathing, and now take your left hand back as well and hold the foot with both your hands. If I turn, you get to see this. Squeeze your shoulder blades in, maintain the balance, focus, send the heel away from the hip a little bit. Breathe out, settle and relax. We will do the same thing onto the other side. So you bend your left leg and grab it with the left foot first, pull it up close to the perineum. And one trick to balance is to always look at a point which is slightly higher than your eye level. So for an example, I'm looking at a dot on the wall right now. Now, if I were to look down, it will only keep me focused a little bit down, but I'll be too conscious. It's a good idea to look at a point which is slightly higher than your eye level. So when you look higher, you're better oriented in the room. Then you bring yourself back to the center of the mat. Now, this is the moment when we start introducing balancing poses to your yoga practice. Now, balancing poses are slightly challenging, but they are extremely fun. As you practice more and more of these, you would notice that your balance gets better. And balance is extremely important. As we age, our balance deteriorates. And in order to make sure that you have that kind of coordination and connection with your body and the brain, balancing poses are supremely essential. So we're going to get started with the easy ones. What would be the easiest version is to get the body weight shifted on your left leg, and you want your right leg to be lifted up off the floor. And you notice how there's a little bit of a tremor in the body perhaps, and how your left foot is trying to manage the weight itself. That's exactly what we want the brain to receive. This is the exact stimuli we want it. So at any point if you feel shaky, it's totally fine to put your foot down back onto the floor and then restart again. Now, with your right foot up, you want to point the toes out. Point the toes out. Imagine you're trying to push a button with your right big toe. And now you start drawing the circle. Now, what we are doing here, we are drawing the circle with the right big toe. We are giving some movements, some particular movements for the ankle to get busy with while you stay balanced on one leg. So this is the trick we use in terms of balancing poses, that you always get yourself busy with something else so that you forget that you're balancing on. Right now, you're going to simply interlace your finger with your right foot up on top of the inner side of the left thigh. Then you join your hands together, press your palms into each other and continue to breathe in and out. So balance is extremely connected to your visuals, to your sight. Right now, I'm looking at the top of the camera, so that's my focus point, and that's where I'm looking at. But if you have anything in front of you, let's say a nail on the wall, or a bulb fixture, or anything that you can focus yourself, imagine that there's a connection you have created with that. It's a visual connection, and it helps you to maintain the balance. So continue breathing, hold as long as you can, and then just to challenge yourself a little bit more, see what happens when you close your eyes. So when you close your eyes, you might feel that you're coming off the balance because you don't have that visual connect anymore, and your body feels confused in terms of how it is oriented in space. Now, when you breathe out, you're going to put your right foot down and you relax and do the same thing onto the other side. So while you're balancing on the right foot, extend. Start drawing circles with your left big toe. Draw circles in different direction, both the directions. You may even want to send the leg sideways, at the back, in front. And then from there, when you breathe out, you're going to bring the leg up. Don't just yet put it on the thigh. Just see how it feels to be maintaining that balance and how the connection you have between the feet and the mat and how this communication channel is happening. Your toes, tiny toes, the ones we worked out right at the beginning, are the ones who are giving that messages to the brain in terms of how and where the body weight needs to be shifted. So there's a lot happening. Enjoy this complicated process that your body carries out on its own without involving much of an effort from our end. So when you breathe out, you're going to then put your foot on the inner side of the right thigh. Stick to the balance, continue breathing in and out. There are many positions you can keep your left foot here. It could be one on the inner side of the right thigh, it could be closer to the knee, it could be closer to the shin, and it could be closer to the ankle. Wherever it is, you just simply start focusing on the breath, and there is one thing you want to make sure, and that is you're breathing in and out, and there's no retention of the breath. There is no holding of the breath, because when we tend to hold the breath, the body becomes stiff. When the body becomes stiff in a balancing pose, it starts to feel like a statue, like stiff. And that's not what we want. We want to feel like a tree. So even if there's a little bit of tremor, your body can internally handle it. But what happens when a statue gets a tremor? The statue feels a tremor and it falls, right? So in order to avoid that, you're going to simply start focusing on the breath. So in case you lose your balance just like I did, it's perfectly fine, because it's totally fine to keep coming in and out of the yoga balancing poses. Now, in order to continue, you're going to bring your left foot wherever you find it suitable for you, and then join your hands together and press your palms into each other. So when you firmly press your palms into each other, you notice that it kind of gives you a little bit of more sense of balance and orientation. Super. Then when you breathe out, you're going to lower the feet down and relax. So the balancing poses can be slightly challenging for people, those who have flat feet, but there's nothing you need to worry about. Continue practicing and you would build up that muscle memory and the coordination with the feet and the toes that requires you to maintain the balance. So this was day 8 of our 30-day yoga challenge with Zubin Atre, and if you want to practice a little longer class, feel free to join this class with one of the previous videos that we have shot earlier. And a big pat on your